Hello and welcome to GuySuCo Roundup. I'm your host, Curtis Sital. Innovation, integrity and investment in human capital breed promise and realize potential. There is opportunity to celebrate the benefits of hard work. Occupational Health and Safety Month is observed in the corporation in a big way. These stories and more on this week's program of GuySuCo Roundup.
From the very land that gave sugar around the world the name Demerara comes the finest quality of cane sugar, Demerara Gold. Enjoy the real thing from the original source, the rich, fertile Demerara coastline where sugarcane has been harvested since the mid-17th century. The result is here for you to enjoy. Wherever this unique sugar flavor is needed, Demerara Gold is the ingredient that will always create a stir.
Welcome back. The direction taken in our business as a sugarcane industry comes within view as we pool our resources to realize one common goal. With grinding for the first crop progressing, there is much optimism, commitment, and resolve to achieving goals. Congratulations to the teams of iFlood and Albion Estates on the achievement of their weekly production targets, with Albion exceeding their target during the week of March 30 and iFlood doing so for 3 consecutive weeks in the weeks ending March 16, 23, and 30. At the iFlood location, where initially sugar production was below potential, there has been consistency and renewed focus. Our camera visited the estate on March 28 to observe the progress being made. We first met with the estate manager, Mr. Yudi Mana.
To date, we would have recognized that after the shaky start we would have had first 2 weeks. On the 5th week here, we would have surpassed our weekly target for the last 2 weeks and about to complete the 3rd by the end of Friday morning. This is indeed a remarkable achievement, having struggled over the past couple of years with cane production, and more than that, able to supply the factory continually with canes. We would have seen the 3rd week of production realizing 137 grinding hours within the week when we achieved the first weekly target for this first crop. And in the 2nd week, achieving that target of 1020, we would have crushed for 120 hours. That is remarkable.
Previously, having a goal of achieving 6,671 tons of sugar in 7 weeks would have been daunting.
One would have known previously that would have been a huge challenge to us. With the commitment of everybody in the year 2017, when we renewed our effort to come 2018, walking towards by 2020 producing 5,000 tons of sugar, a significant amount of work would have done by the team. At this point, I pause to say the least, and that is to give credence to the cane gantry coming from Wales, because we would have known that cane gantry from Wales was the talk of the day in the year 2017, when it was expected to come on board mid-second crop 2017. Finally, it's here. We have started first crop 2018 with the cane gantry. This definitely would have boosted cane production and cane supply to the factory. I say cane production because if I start with farmers from the Canal West Bank area would have now recognized that they have a place at iFlood Estate. that they can easily transfer the canes from the West Bank area to Iflot Estate and return in some instances with 2 trips per day.
In addition to the farmer's supply of canes, careful attention paid to husbandry practices is attributed to the increase in sugar production.
We are in the cultivation, looking at some best practices over at Iflot Estates. As you've been aware that best practices such as clean navigation system, good blocking system contributed significantly to better cane production. Not leaving out accessibility.
Venturing further into the estate cultivation, we met with the agriculture manager, Mr. Narish Narain, who provided more in-depth information about the husbandry practices.
What we're seeing in the background, that is at Iflot field number 1, is basically the bale operation. The bale loading operation is in progress. Now, what we managed to do from the beginning of the crop to now is we have increased the set sizes in terms of the number of persons working as a group. And this we have managed to do through consultation with the workers as well as the representatives. And we've been able to get them into crew sizes of 10 or more. What happens thereafter is that they are able to cut more canes and we're able to load into ponds as required. Therefore, we're able to get better pond utilization. So far for the crop, we've been averaging about 7 tons cane per pond overall in this cotton stack or the bale loading area. And for the week so far, we've been more than 7.5 tons cane per pond. In other words, if 10 persons are cutting, we're expected that those 10 persons cut approximately 50 tons of cane, which is 5 tons per man. That now is placed into ponds and we're averaging about 7 tons per pond. Prior to now, we had very small set sizes whereby you had 1 and 2 persons cutting canes, and that would have accounted for poor pond weight. In other words, 1 man cutting 6 tons, in some cases just about 5 tons, will have to go into a single pond. Therefore, the pond is underutilized. 2 or more tons in addition to that 5 ton can hold in 1 pond. Therefore, we were greatly underutilizing the pond. Having looked at the entire operation, we were asked to relook and see what can be done to improve the pond weight. The greatest benefit as at this point is the pond weight that we would have managed to increase with the increasing or the increased set sizes. And that to date has benefited us in terms of keeping the factory going 24 hours a day. And in 1 week we were able to grind for as much as 144 hours. Not to forget the farmers. The farmers would have been a part of the whole operation, whereby they are also supplying between 130 to 150 trailers per day. But that has also assisted us in getting the canes off on time, getting the canes to the factory. And this whole bale loading operation is being done in such a manner that we are only working a 1 shift. We're not working 2 shifts day and night. We're working 1 shift, and we were able to start loading as early as 8:30 in the morning. So having started that early, you're able to finish by 7, 8 o'clock. We have the persons doing cut and load. And one of the reasons for this is because we would not have been able to convert these fields. So these are English bed fields which they would have to cut and load. The bale loader productivity would be very low on this kind of layout. Therefore, it is only prudent that we allow them to cut and load this cane. This is a plant cane field at ED, the Edinburgh section, and it is approximately 85 tons cane per hectare as at this time. The ponds are already loaded or almost loaded because they would have started early.
Over at the factory, the manager, Mr. Lance Niles, attributes the improved efficiency enjoyed to the recently installed cane hoist system from Wales.
We had commenced this forest crop with the gantry and the pond dumper system. Our day-to-day operation relative to the pond dumper and the cane gantry is that when the farmer canes are here with trailers, we try as much as possible to lift those canes from the trailers by the gantry. And when we complete that operation, we will start with the pond dumper with the punts. Most times we find that after 10, 11 o'clock in the day, we'll start lifting the trailer skin, and that will go up to 10, 11 o'clock in the night. As soon as we completed that, we will switch over to the punt dumper system with the punts. Today, our factory has settled somewhat because we know for the first 2 weeks we had some challenges relative to incorporating the carrier systems. We are not fully successful with that yet, but because we are still working on manual with that system, and the better system to work on is the auto, but we haven't been successful with that, but we are working on a manual. But we have noticed that we have get some improvement in terms of the factory operation and the consistency of our throughput of 105 tons per hour.
Indeed, managers were eager to register their appreciation of the efforts of the workforce and the cane farmers and to encourage their continued support.
What's happening here at IFLOC is one that is beyond the imagination so quickly because of the cane supply that we currently have in. It's only fair to say that morale is high among the workforce. Apart from being high, you would have seen the commitment and dedication of these workers more than ever, because you know it better than I do. Having achieved your weekly target, what more we want except to say, I'm looking forward for it yet another week. We have farmers coming on board, partnering with us too. So the two together, definitely we can see the factory crushing for longer periods, recoveries will be better, and more than that, achieving our target more than ever. It will be miss of me not to continue to appeal to the workforce to turn out in large numbers so that we can able to bring home the crop swiftly and at the same time achieving our crop production. I can only ask of you to continue to come out in large numbers, walk safely, and let us walk towards the better good of IFLOC Estate.
I would just like to say thanks to the workforce in terms of the DSP achieved during the last week. The general morale of the workforce at this point is good because they have we've seen an increase in the turnout.
Because we have a new dimension as it relates to the abundance of cane supply, we are asking all our employees to cooperate with us, to come to work, so that we can ensure that our factory is in a state of readiness to crush canes continuously. When they see problems, don't keep it to themselves, share it with their engineers, so that we will be able to approach those defects before they become breakdowns, so that the factory will be efficient.
In recognition of the outstanding achievements of the West Demerara location, we encourage employees of our sister locations to give of their best. It's now time for more updates from Georgiana Bola.
Thank you, Curtis. Hello, everyone. Having been recognized as the largest single employer in the Caribbean, GuySuCo remains on the forefront, committing to the development of its most valued asset, human resources. Recently, managers within the Finance and Human Resources departments of both estates and the head office participated in an interactive session to enhance their knowledge and understanding of meeting the income tax obligations.
GRA has agreed, from a request from GuySuCo, to come and provide us with some hands-on skills that are necessary for the submission of annual return, monthly return, and even your individual income tax return. And so in this partnership, we're hoping that you will learn as much as you can, be informed what needs to be done. So the submission of the report as an individual and as an entity is done consistently. We are well aware whenever we have incorrect information submitted, it creates a problem. The problem not only affects the receiver, but it also affects us in a way. And so let us see what we can do to understand what is being taught today. So we'll be in an informed position that when we're submitting information, we submit the right information at the very first time.
While expounding on the requirements of the amended legislations, facilitators guided participants through the electronic service available for filing of tax returns. The managers were also enlightened on the objections and appeals procedure, among others.
So if you're wondering why do I have to submit this document to the GRA every year and go through that stress? Well, the simple answer is you have to. The law requires that you do so. That's the frank reason. Section 60 of the Income Tax Act says every individual, every person being an individual whose income is not less than $720,000 and a body of persons which was registered in or carried on business in Guyana shall, on or before the prescribed day in every year, deliver to the Commissioner General a true and correct return of the whole of his income from every source whatsoever for the year immediately preceding the year of assessment, and shall, if absent from Guyana, give the name and address of an agent there residing therein. You hear the part? And shall, if absent from Guyana, give the name and address of an agent residing therein. So if you're unable to file your tax return, you need to get someone to submit this return on your behalf. There's a penalty for not submitting this to the GRA, and if you're required to pay tax and you also miss the due date, there's also a penalty for missing the due date for payments.
GRA certifies accountants. If you're going to somebody to prepare your statement, make sure you see the tax practice certificate. If that person doesn't have that tax practice certificate, they're not licensed to do that return for you.
Okay, if you fail to pay your income tax on or before the due date, the penalty will be 2% of the tax assessed. If you fail to submit your income tax returns on or before the due date, the penalty will be 10%. If the Commissioner General demands the return and you fail to submit the return on or before the due date, the penalty is also 10%. If you fail to pay your taxes on or before the due date, the interest will be 18% of the taxes assessed. If you fail to submit a nil return or a loss return, the penalty will be $50,000. So you see why it is important for you to submit your income tax return on or before the due date. Well, luckily for most of us now, they have the amnesty period now, which is from January to September. If you submit if you for some reason you did not submit your returns for the past 8 years, or you just submit some and you fail to submit the rest, this is a period you can choose to submit your return.
Section 39 of the Income Tax Act was amended to insert two subsections, 13 and 14. 13 tells you, I'm just going to read the legislation to you. Payments disbursed to contractors in excess of $500,000 for a contract shall be subject to withholding tax at the rate of 2%. So, you have certain characteristics here. First of all, the payment which we're going to disburse to these contractors must be in excess of $500,000, and the rate is 2%. The other subsection of the legislation defines who a contractor is.
With sugar production for the first crop progressing steadily past 25,000 tons, the premier commodity in bagged and packaged forms reaches more destinations around the Caribbean. Genuine Demerara Gold and Demerara Brown labels mark the value-added products set for Trinidad, Antigua, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Bahamas, Tortola, and the Cayman Islands. Shipments of molasses will also be made to Suriname and St. Lucia. Former employees of the corporation's Skeldon location had their turn participating in a round of training that transitions them successfully into becoming self-sufficient farmers in the areas of coconut and citrus farming, as well as livestock. Our cameras were on hand for the first of the two-day session.
Now, GuySuCo, as a caring employer, has put a lot of effort into providing assistance for workers to transition from being sugar workers into seeking other forms of income generation. Today's activity is part of that initiative, where we're focusing on transitioning these ex-employees into farmers. And as I said, the topic for today would be dairy and small ruminants.
You just experienced the first session of training at Skeldon. What are your thoughts on what you would have learned?
I must say I learned a lot of things that I never understand or I never knew about in livestock. And I was grateful to be here today so I could learn and I could hear and know more things about it. So I have thinking about going into it. So going into it, you have to know something about it. And if you don't know nothing about it, it will make no sense going into it. So for the starting, it is very good. I work at Skeldon Estate for 12 years. And for the 12 years, it was successful for me.
I'm a part of this program at Skeldon Estate, where I learn about conducting sheep, goat. The opportunity so far are very good because you can do something for yourself.
Okay. I know that today we look at small ruminants, tomorrow's citrus and coconut. Which area in particular are you interested in?
Well, me interested in the small animal and also the big one. That the cows I'm interested of. So mine cows and sheep with people, but I never own personal. I hope is that somebody come about and bring or give me some loan or something so that we can go ahead, get along with our daily life.
It's something positive, it's something good, right? Because at least you get some new ideas. Because sometimes some of the things that I learned today, right? I never know about this. I know some of the things, right? But at least some things are being exposed to me now, so I get an idea. At least I will use this and get better. At least I could able to produce better and to able to extend from there. At least I could try my own ways in getting things done too. With all this, right, GuySuCo show an interest in the worker's life too, because you would find that other companies would just leave you at that, right? But what I see that, I mean for me, right, I'm grateful to GuySuCo for doing such. I will encourage other people if they're interested in the farming, right? And I mean that as they had promised to give you something more on this, right, to educate you more on farming and this kind of thing. And next thing too, what they're talking about, make lands available, because it's the most important thing, because you have to get the land available, because no use taking the training and there is nothing for you to do, right? So I say there's something good, and I was glad that whoever is interested to take part in it too.
Fitness walks, health talks, blood drives, counseling and testing for HIV, fire drills and fire prevention, as well as mental health seminars are some of the major activities employees will participate in observance of Occupational Health and Safety Month. And that's news from around the Sugar Belt for this week.
Thank you, Georgiana. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's program of GuySuCo Roundup. Thank you for staying tuned and do join us again next week. I'm your host, Curtis Ital. Goodbye.